Hi, this is Jeff from the Ozark Mountains in Missouri, USA. Today I've got another case saver kit to talk about, this time for the Amiga 600. These have a very similar problem to the Commodore 64 and VIC-20 cases in that the clips along the back here tend to break and then your back half of the case is kind of floppy. I came up with a new repair kit and today we'll cover the installation of that. We'll need a few things to get started. One is some epoxy. I recommend this DevCon plastic welder. It holds great, but boy does it stink when you're using it. You'll need a small file or a tiny piece of sandpaper, a Q-tip, some alcohol, which I've decanted into a small container, some side cutters, possibly, and of course the repair kit. I've already gone ahead and taken the Amiga 600 apart to make this easier and to make cleaning up the case easier. Let's jump in and get started. Now here we have some close-up shaky cam footage. You can see where the ears break off of there. This is what normally happens. And here is what one normally looks like. Now this is exactly what the ears look like on the original VIC-20 and early C64 cases. And they were also very prone to breaking because there's just not much there. The repair clips set in like this. It has some wings along the back here which register on the back of the hook and keep it lined up. So the first thing we'll do here is scuff up these areas just a little bit with the file. Then we'll clean them with some alcohol, and after the alcohol has a chance to dry, we'll epoxy the new clips into place. What we're going to do here with our small file is just goes over these areas that the clip will be glued to, just very lightly, and scratch up the surface. This just provides a little bit of tooth for the epoxy to grip into. After we're done with the file, we'll wet a Q-tip in some alcohol and we'll clean up all the filings we just made and make sure these areas are degreased. On the 3D printed parts, you don't want to get these wet, but you can very lightly go over the areas that the epoxy will touch. This is what an intact side clip looks like. This one has been stressed and it won't be too long before it breaks. Let's look at the other side, the right side of the case, and see how they break off. Here we have one of the side tabs, which is already broken off, and I've just filed it down flat. Someone had already tried to super glue this back together, so I had to take the file and run along the sides to clean that up a little bit. Now for the side that's not broken off, you'll need to trim it and file it to look like this one. This side tab is about ready to break off of here, so I'll go ahead and remove it. I'm going to slip my side cutters in here, just above this surface, and snap that off. Then I'll take my little file and file that flush to this inner surface right here. Once you have this filed down, you want to take your file along the sides just a little bit to make sure there are no burrs. And scuffing the plastic up will help with the epoxy adhesion. Then you want to get the appropriate side clip. You can see these have a beveled shape. And the beveled part goes toward the back of the case. It is designed, it's hard to do on camera, it's designed to slip over like that. So after cleaning this with some alcohol, we'll epoxy it on there just like we did the back clips. Now it's time to mix up the epoxy. As I mentioned before, I like using this DevCon plastic welder. And I found out quite by accident that old lids that have the number 5 recycling symbol that we use here in the US, I think this is a polypropylene lid. At any rate, the epoxy does not stick to this, so you can use it over and over as a mixing platform. Now, that's more epoxy than what is required, but you gotta have enough for it to cure properly. Okay, now we've got that mixed up. We'll get the case back in here. I'm going to use this small screwdriver tip to apply the epoxy. I find that's a little easier for me, as I tend to be a little messy. Just going to get a little bit on all the surfaces. This is not going to require a lot. Kind of like that. And we'll just tip the clip right in there. You can rotate it around from the side and make sure it looks nice. We'll give this epoxy about 24 hours to fully cure, and then we'll see how it looks. It's been about 24 hours now, so let's see how our repaired case fits together. Got my case halves lined up here. I'm going to take advantage of the keyboard not being in here to line up the back clips. And rotate that down. I could feel this side snap in. This side has just a bit of an alignment issue, so let me take a closer look at that. Okay, here is our apparent problem. You can see here that this side clip isn't lining up in that hole, but if we look around on the back of the case, what we'll find is that back corner is not seated in all the way. So this is the corner on that same side. You can see that it's not seated in all the way. So this repair clip that's right here isn't seating in this hole quite right. This is down all the way. It's just not forward. And it feels like I can maybe force it, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to pop this apart and have a look at that clip right there. This is one of the clips that was originally broken off, and comparing this to its neighbor, you can see it looks like there's just a little more of a gap right here. So this is a typical alignment issue with a repair like this. So we'll just take our little file and run it a few times along the bottom here to get any. Oh yeah, I feel a glue bump right there. That might have been the issue. So I'll dress that up a little bit and then we'll try again. Okay, there we go. Just a little bit of effort. We got that clip snapping in there just like it should. So I'll show you what we did. When opening up the A600 case, after you take all the screws out, you want to get your fingers under here and here, pull out a little bit, and that'll release those two side clips. Rotate it a little bit and wiggle it as you slide it back. What I did for this particular repair clip was just lightly filed the top, and there was a little piece of glue that was stuck in down here, and I cleaned that out. And then I looked at the rest of these and made sure they were even along the top. It just took a few minutes. Another trick I use with the Commodore 64 bread bin cases is to take my file and just go a few times along the edge of these pockets like this. You don't need to remove much material. You just want to take that sharp edge away. That'll allow the clip to go in there a lot easier. especially on the bread bin. It prevents that nasty snapping sound that you hear when you're taking the case apart or putting it back together. Well, we have this A600 case all fixed up and ready for another 30 years. The link for the A600 Case Saver Kit on my website is in the description below. Since the Case Saver Kit is so small and light, there are a couple special shipping options for it on the website. There's ones for US customers, which is where I'm located, and one for international customers. This is a very inexpensive way to ship these kits, no matter where you are. But note, it won't work with everything on the website, just these really small, lightweight items. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I would love to hear from you. And until next time, bye.